Hi, everybody. This is Patty Sliney, Handy Quilter National Educator, and I am going to do a quick little video today for y'all on how to save your designs that you're working on in Pro Stitcher when you're on your tablet. And this is what I would consider best practice. There's lots of ways to do this, but I'm going to share a way that I think is probably the best and the cleanest. And this is coming from years of computer experience, not just with Pro Stitcher and long arming, but just in general, good computer, what I would call best practice. So I've got a design up here that I created, and let's say I created this all over edge to edge for myself, and this is something that I want to save after I've built it before I start stitching. Just in case I have to reopen it, I have it saved. So here's how I recommend doing that. So with all over edge to edge designs, I will only save the selected design. I don't save my workspace, and you have that option in Pro Stitcher Premium. For our Pro Stitcher Lite users, you don't. You can only save what is selected on your workspace. And there's really no need when you're doing all over edge to edge work. You don't really need to save the workspace, which would save everything that's on your workspace, your area as well as your design. The area has already done its job. Aren't going to need it. And in fact, I usually recommend deleting it if you reopen it, because once you reposition your design to start back stitching again after reopening the design, the area will not be aligned, and it just kind of can sometimes be annoying and distracting. So I just recommend to people to clear the area. So no sense in saving it to start with. So I recommend that you do a file, save, selected, and that's going to save whatever is selected on the workspace. And I know my design is selected because number one, it's black on the workspace. And also, if you look over here in the right sidebar in the workspace tab, my design is selected here because it's green. Remember, anything that is green in Pro Stitcher means selected or on. All right, so we're going to do File, Save, Selected. Now, I recommend that you browse to your D drive. Now, I could scroll down to get to the D drive, or just to make it simple, I can collapse my C drive file structure by clicking on the down arrow. It will turn to an up arrow, and my D drive will be right below it. So I'm going to touch my D drive, and then any folders that I have created on my D drive, which is my flash drive that's plugged into my system, to my tablet or the USB hub or the machine, whatever machine you have, these are the folders that are on my flash drive. And so here's my designs folder. I'm pretending this is my Pro Stitcher flash drive. So we always have our designs on that Pro Stitcher flash drive. And I've created some other folders. Here is my personal folder, and I started it with a number because Windows will alphabetize your folders and your files, and you can see DHJS, but in the alphabetizing system in Windows, numbers come before letters, and characters, so if you had an asterisk or an ampersand, those come before numbers. So I put a number in front of my folder just so it sorts to the top. It's easy to find. So I'm going to go ahead and touch my folder to select it. Again, I know it's selected. The D drive is selected because it's green, and my O1 Patty's Design folder is selected because it's green. And I know this because here's my file path. So now I'm going to touch in here, and I'm going to rename my design, and this is the naming convention that I always use. A naming convention just means a standard practice that you use all the time in naming files and folders. And this is the naming convention I always use. I will use the date, 02, and today is the 22nd, and use a dash. Do not use a forward slash here. You do not want to use this. That keystroke is actually a coding command in Windows, and Windows doesn't like that. in a file name. So use a dash, 0222-26 space, repeat apple leaves. And since this is my personal file, I'm not going to put a last name here. If this was somebody else's design, I would put their last name here. This is going into my folder. I know it's mine, so I'm just going to save it. So now it's saving back to my flash drive. And if I go back, if I do a file, design, because I saved only the design, not the workspace, open, and if I browse back to my D drive, let's try that again. There we go. Collapse my C drive file structure, expand my D drive by touching the up arrow, which turns into a down arrow, touch my folder, there's my design. Okay, so let's clear that, and I'm going to open just another workspace that I have. And let's say I created this workspace for one of my customers. Let's say I long arm for others and I want to save their design. Same reasoning. If I maybe don't finish and I have to shut down and reopen the next day, finish it off, I have saved my design. Or if something untoward happens, you have a motor error, you have a program crash, you always want to make sure that you have baselined and saved. So I've baselined because I reopened the design. You always have to baseline after you reopen a saved file or workspace. But now I'm going to save just the selected design. Again, I know it's selected because the design's black and it's green over here in my right sidebar in my workspace tab. So I'm going to do File, Save, Selected. Now this happens to be for Miss Hall. So this is her quilt, and this is the naming convention I recommend using for your customers. Again, you want to put the date in, 02-22-26, and then I put the customer's name, space. So I've got the date, the customer's last name, and the name of the design. The reason I do this is going to happen to you eventually if you long arm for others. You're going to have one of your customers say, "Hey Patty, I really want you to use that design that you used on my quilt like 2 years ago. I think it had a ladybug in it. Can't remember what it was." Well, now you can easily go back to your customer's folder and you can search by date. And since the file name starts with a date, and again, when you're using file design open, and let's browse to the D drive and look in here, and then you'll see that the name of this always is going to start with a date, and I use 2 characters, 2 characters, 2 characters. So 2 month, 2 day, 2 year. And I know this is the Hall's, Miss Hall's design, and this was maybe 2 years ago. It might say 2/22/24, and there's the name of the ladybug, and I can easily go back and find all the designs I used for her 2 years ago, and by date and by the name of the design. So that's what I recommend. I never recommend saving a design to your C drive, because if you save it to your C drive, that's the hard drive inside your tablet. If you ever decide to sell your system, you've now got to go through that tablet's C drive and delete out all of those saved designs because they're really not yours to give away, and you wouldn't want to give away your proprietary stuff. Or if you're purchasing designs and you've saved them to the C drive, you don't really have the legal right to transfer those designs to somebody else. You have the right to use them when you purchase them from a digitizer, but you don't have the right to resell them. And that's technically what you'd be doing if you saved a purchased design to your C drive and then sold your system and tablet to somebody else. Plus, it just keeps your C drive nice and clean. And you have a wonderful naming convention now that you can use on your flash drive. Now, just a word of warning with your flash drive. I only have my flash drive in 3 places at any given time: plugged into my machine, in my hand, or plugged into my laptop. That way I can never lose it. And it's not a bad idea to label your flash drives. You can put a little label on it or mark it with a Sharpie that says business or personal or Pro Stitcher, however you want to label them, so you know what flash drive is what. And there are 2 ports. Most of you, not all, but most of you have 2 ports on your machine, so you can have 2 flash drives plugged in for most machines. And it helps if you have them labeled. So I hope that was helpful, and just sort of some best practice for how to save designs to a flash drive. One thing I didn't show you, how to create a new folder. So let's do that. So let's say this is somebody else's design. Let's see, we're going to File, Save, Selected. We're going to, oh, I'm already on my D drive, but I need to create a new folder. So I'm going to, right now I'm sitting in this folder and I don't want to be in that folder. I want to be up on my D drive. So I'm going to touch my D drive. Now my file path is the root D drive. And I'm going to click on the new folder icon here. And then I'm just going to put my new customer's last name, create, and it will automatically open. And then I can do my naming convention, which is 0226 Duran, name of the design, save. So that's how you create a new folder right in ProStitcher when you're trying to save something. So hope that was helpful. Hope that makes sense to you. It's very easy. And again, remember, when you're opening designs, you always want to use the File, Design, Open. If you're trying to open a workspace, you need to use, and this is for premium users, File, Workspace, Open. And this will look at only workspace files for you. This pathway only looks at stitch files. And you can see they're green here, they're purple here. So hope that helps, and happy stitching.